And welcome in to the program that each week when we gather here, we call this Citadel Gray Line, and we bring you a dose of Bulldog sports and other happenings at South Carolina's Military College. John Rawl is my name. Good to be back with you here on our All Citadel program, powered in part by IPS Packaging and Automation. And we're going to tell you more about this South Carolina based company as we go forward in today's program. We also are powered in part by Daybreak Adult Care Services and more great sponsors that bring our program. Here on Citadel Gray Line, we're brought to you each week, or we are helped in this presentation by the Post and Courier's Andrew Miller and Thomas Scruggs. We're going to bring both of those guys in as we go forward on this recap of the tough loss at South Carolina State from this past weekend and ahead to this weekend's home game against Western Carolina. But I'm going to bring Andrew in right now. And sadly, Andrew, we bring you in with some horrible news from within the Citadel family today as a great Citadel football quarterback of the 1990s and a very long member of the Citadel leadership as a Board of Visitors member has passed away. If you don't mind, please give us what we just found out earlier today, the horrible news about the passing of Stanley Myers from the Citadel class of 1998.
Yeah, absolutely shocked by this. I saw Stanley at the home opener earlier. Well, that was 2 weeks ago. Seemed in great spirits, great attitude. Was really looking forward to this season, and a guy that played with Maurice Drayton. They were very, very close. And Stanley either I don't know if he died last night or if he died this morning. Don't know what the circumstances were. But yeah, Stanley Myers, the former quarterback at the Citadel, passed away, and just terrible, terrible news. And yeah, not only was he obviously a really good football player, but just a good human being. I'd been attorney in the Columbia area for quite a while. You know, my daughter, when she ended up going to law school at William and Mary, and then passing the bar, he was really excited to hear that and to hear that I had a kind of a future attorney in the family, and just it was great visiting with him, and just terrible, shocking news. And you know, similar to the news when Jermaine Schuler, a former great baseball player, played on those mid '90s teams under Freddie Jordan that ended up winning the Southern Conference and going to a couple of NCAA regionals. You know, he died suddenly a couple of years ago too. So, you know, and these guys were not only great athletes, but just really good guys and good human beings, and we're the world was better since they were in it. And just tragic news. Just I texted Maurice Drayton earlier today, and he was at a loss for words. He was speechless. He was still trying to process this thing. So I think that's the way a lot of people are who knew him and who played with him and were friends with him and who had been touched by him during their lives.
And I do believe Coach Drayton and Stanley Myers were Citadel classmates in addition to being teammates there in the 1990s. Thomas Scruggs is a member of the Columbia Citadel Club, of which Stanley Myers lived in the Columbia area and practiced law, very successful attorney there in Columbia. And Thomas, I do believe you have some developing news on this story from the Columbia Citadel Club.
Yeah, John, unfortunately, we received the post about an hour ago from the Columbia Citadel Club. The latest that we've heard is Stanley went out for a run, came back, I guess, to his house and collapsed. That's what was posted about an hour ago on the Columbia Citadel Club website.
Again, if you're just joining us, former Citadel quarterback, a Swansea, South Carolina native, Stanley Myers has died, class of 20, or rather class of 1998. I assume Stanley must have been somewhere around 47, 48 years young, and a tough loss within the Citadel community. Did you have a chance to know Stanley?
Yes, would see Stanley at the annual Columbia Citadel Club golf tournament. Always seem to run into him, out and about in Columbia in a restaurant. I think I saw Stanley for the first time maybe 10 or 15 years ago at Greek Boys in downtown Columbia, and he noticed my ring and walked up to me and introduced himself. I said, well, of course I know who you are. What a great guy. What a great bulldog! It's like Andrew said. He was just a great human being.
Yes, Stanley Myers again passing away. Stanley leaves behind his wife, Tasha Myers, and they have 2 children, Stanley as well as Haley. Tough loss in the Citadel world. Our thoughts go out to the Myers family as well as those of the Citadel football community, of course. He was the starting quarterback back during that time period of the late 1990s and had been a member of the Board of Visitors. This is a tough loss for the Citadel administration, as he had been on that board for a very long time. And Andrew will do a good job, I'm sure, of keeping you all posted of any kind of announcements of his visitation and more. But our thoughts certainly go out to the entire Citadel world with this tough loss of the death of Stanley Myers today. So I don't know how we move on from that to talking about football, but we're going to do it here on Citadel Gray Line. And if you want to be in part of our program, we have a number that you can text us anytime with questions or comments. 843-779-8496 is the way to reach out to us here at the Gray Line. And then if you're watching us on Facebook, we welcome your feedback there, as well as you can just put us a comment up, and we'll get to that for sure here on the program. So last Saturday, the Dogs went on a road trip to Dawson Stadium on the campus of South Carolina State in Orangeburg. And unfortunately, this was a very rough night for Coach Strayton and the Bulldogs, as they went down convincingly to SC State, and the first loss that the Citadel's ever had to this HBCU. Andrew, trying to make sense of this, perhaps you can. What do you think about the now 0-3 Citadel Bulldogs? I guess it's 0-3. I'm starting to lose count.
0-4.
0-4. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, that was a game that I was reasonably optimistic that they would, at the very least, be competitive in, and I thought they had a good chance at winning that game, because I thought, comparing apples to apples, they weren't playing against a team that had a ton of transfers from Power 5 conferences or from the FBS. I thought SC State was going to, I thought they would make it a very competitive game. And if you looked right before halftime, it was going to be, it looked like a relatively, the Bulldogs were going to be in it. And then they gave up that late touchdown at the end of the first half, and really on some, what I would consider an unusual defensive play calling. They just let a wide receiver just run free with less than a minute left in the half. So that kind of skewed that made it tougher for the Bulldogs to be able to, Bulldogs, aren't they? That made it tougher for the Citadel to be able to come back in the second half and kind of get into the game, get mentally and physically into the game. I thought that touchdown right before halftime by SC State, I thought was a huge turning point in the game. Not that the Citadel had done a great job defensively against them anyway. And to me, the season, it's been really tough. And obviously, I knew there were going to be growing pains. I knew that there was going to be some transition issues from, especially offensively, from what Maurice Strayton was trying to do with this team to what they had done in the past. And I knew the offense was going to struggle. The issue to me is defensively, I did not think that they would be as bad as they are. And if you look at their roster, they got 4 graduate players that start on defense. They've got another guy who's a senior. They've got some people who played a lot of football, and they're just not making the plays. And there were, and I counted, I counted in the press box 8 times when the Citadel had chances to make tackles in SC State's backfield, to at least have a no gain or a negative yardage play for SC State, and they failed to make tackles. So the play calling was right on these occasions, because they were there to make the tackles, and they just didn't make the tackles. So I don't know what Maurice Drayton and Raleigh Jackson, the defensive coordinator, have to do differently, but the Citadel is not a very good tackling team right now, and they've got to get better. Like I said, because there were times there in the game where they were there to make the play, and they just did not get the guy to the ground. And that, to me, is, especially defensively, is one of the biggest issues that they have right now.
31-10, the Orangeburg Bulldogs over the banks of the Ashley Bulldogs. I don't want to give us the wrong side of the river. Sorry about that. It was a tough night, 31-10, and that second half surge by SC State is what put them over the top, and a 0-4 start now for Coach Drayton. We're going to talk more about the Western Carolina game and maybe some other X's and O's of this contest as we go forward on today's Citadel Gray Line. But what I want to give y'all a heads up on is something that was brought out at the end of Maurice Drayton's Monday presser as he brought up recruiting, or a question was brought up to him. And I've got the clip, and we're going to play it in just a few minutes here. And we're going to get into some NIL discussion. And we're going to really get into I'm going to loosen up this crazy bow tie, and we're going to really get into the future of Citadel Athletics. If you've got some thoughts that you want to share with us hit us up here on the Facebook feed. We want to hear it, but also as that number we have, 843-779-8496, is available for you to text us. But we've got some real hard decisions to make as a program, as a school, and we're not alone. All the small schools out there have some tough decisions to make when it comes to NIL. Maurice Drayton even hinted a little bit about this. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. So that's what we call in the biz a tease. Let me also give you a tease about some of our great sponsors here at Citadel Gray Line. Daybreak Adult Care Service, Coker Day from the Citadel class of 1995. He has this service in the Columbia area of South Carolina. If you have the need for someone to come in and help out with a loved one, whether it's during daytime hours, just some errands to run, or perhaps sitting with someone at night, Daybreak Adult Care Service is the way to go. And we want you to consider this Citadel Graduates Company. Again, Daybreak Adult Care Services. They've got the ability to help out in essentially area code 803 is where you'll be able to find Coker's company. And I encourage you, if you have a chance, to go to their Daybreak Adult Care website, which is daybreakcare.com. There's no place like home with their services, personal in-home care, and the privacy and security of your own home. Daybreakcare.com is the website. Mr. Day also gives us a great sponsorship of Pedigo Electric Bikes. Pedigo Electric Bikes with locations both in Aiken and what he calls the Soda City location of Pedigo. And it is a neat way to travel if you are into the outdoors, but you don't want to necessarily break your neck. Then an electric bike could be the way to go. In fact, William Shatner is one of the personal endorsees of Pedigo Electric Bikes. So if you have a chance, stop by. There are two locations in South Carolina of both Aiken and in West Columbia, a.k.a. Soda City, for Pedigo Electric Bikes. And that is a neat way to travel the electric bike route. While I'm at it, I might as well tell you about Franklin. Franklin is a great Columbia area plumbing and drain cleaning service. Franklin in the Columbia area, we got a lot of Columbia support here on the Citadel Gray Line. And you can reach out to Franklin Plumbing Service. They've got the website franklinplumbing.sc.com. And if you have a chance to see the services they have, as they will come out, give them a call, 803-281-2974, 803-281-2974. They offer 24-hour emergency service available Monday through Thursday. The website, franklinplumbing.sc.com, is how you'll find them. They're a full-service plumbing, gas, drain, and sewer company with expert 24-hour emergency service available. They're available with that Monday through Thursday. In fact, if you go to their website, you can see a coupon right now for a sewer replacement of $250 off from Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning in the Columbia area of South Carolina. So those are some of our great sponsors, and we certainly don't want to leave out IPS Packaging and Automation. I'm going to give you a chance to hear about them